Hi, Patrick Chan here, and in today's episode, I'm going to touch about building a social media campaign. And I'd like to share with you the same formula that I use for my social media campaign, whether it's short-term or for long-term campaign. And it's basically based on the formula of ADD. ADD stands for ADD. ADD. So what does A stands for, D, and the other D? Now, the first A stands for automation. So this is the part where I do it a bit different than other social media experts and so on, is that I don't focus on producing the content and promoting it. I will just start with the automation aspect in the sense that I know how to structure the whole thing of how it is to be launched before it is being launched. Now, I'm not saying that I know from an egoistic standpoint, like I know the results. What I'm trying to say is that I've mapped it out, as in like I know how this whole campaign is going to work. As in like what does this content does, how to promote this content, and how do you actually automate the whole thing, link it all up, so that once it's all set up, you have freedom of time. Because the last thing that you want to do is launch a social media campaign and you end up posting, replying to comments and all this kind of stuff because you're now stuck inside the campaign, so to speak. So the first part is automation. How do you automate the whole campaign with content marketing, with advertising and so on? So that's the first part. The second part is the D, stands for development of content. So when it comes to step 2, the second formula, D, how do you actually create content? Now, very simple. My simple formula is this, right? Do not release the content if the content it's not serving others. As in like, if the content doesn't really add value to others, like it's gonna take away someone's 5 minutes or 10 minutes or 30 minutes or even a minute, then don't release that. So just have a very simple ballpark and say to yourself, hey, is this content useful? When I use the word useful, does it add value? And the definition of adding value is going to be different for different kind of industry. Like in my industry, the concept of adding value is that they get valuable education, or it could be inspiration for them to take action. So that is a form of value for my industry, right? So that's development of content. And for my system, I don't produce like lots of content because I don't really believe in the whole concept of the numbers game. I believe in terms of producing valuable content in that context. And the final D is called distribution. Now, what do I mean by distribution? Distribution basically means that how do you distribute your content once you finish it? So this is the mix of the content marketing aspect where you're going to focus on free distribution, and then how do you blend that in with advertising for your content, right? So once you start to distribute your content will start to generate the traffic for you, or the leads, or maybe the sales that you need. So this is how ADD actually works. And in the ad system, the key thing is this, is that I don't focus on building followers, fans and so on. In fact, if you have huge fans or followers, that's a bonus. But even though if you have just a small size of fans, it doesn't really matter at all. Like, we don't focus that in terms of this whole authority, influential status and so on. You don't need that. Launch ADD. You could have, say, just like 3,000 fans or 1,000 fans or followers, and this system will still work for you because it's a system. It's not about trying to get likes. It's not about trying to put out as many content as possible. It's about creating a social media campaign to get the results that you want. And the results could be driving targeted traffic to your website, or it could be simply focusing on producing content that attracts them into your so-called funnel to capture them as your leads. Alright, so there you go. So the final remark that I want to say to you is this, is that social media, it is something that you cannot neglect. Despite it has been around for so many years, all I can say that this will just continue to grow, and make sure that you ride on this trend right now. Alright, this is Patrick here, signing off.